Depositors of the Bank of Cebu must have felt like they woke up on the wrong side of the bed yesterday as the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or BSP closed all 7 branches of the bank after they deemed it insolvent. The members of the BSP Monetary Board decided to close the bank after they found out that it was already incapable of paying its creditors. Affected by the closure of the bank are its 7,870 depositors. The closure order was announced through posters that were plastered on the different branches yesterday.
Hello, I'm Martin Torre. Affected by the closure of the banks are its 7,870 depositors. The closure order was announced through posters that were plastered on the different branches. Officials of the Philippine Deposit Insurance Corporation, or PDIC, and the BSP said that depositors need not panic as their money is insured by the PDIC. PDIC is a government-run Philippine deposit insurance. It guarantees deposit. Primary functions of PDIC is to protect the small investors, depositors, and to build a strong banking confidence. The PDIC covers deposit up to a maximum of 250,000. This means that those depositors who have less than 250,000 in the bank can get their money back in full from the PDIC. Francis Randy Hortelano, Supervising Information Specialist, Depositors Assistance Bureau of the PDIC, said that only 90% of the depositors can claim their money in full from PDIC. This is because some depositors have more money than the maximum insurance coverage in the bank. 2% of these depositors whose deposits exceed the maximum insurance claim allowed per depositor will still get to recover their deposits from the proceeds when the bank disposes its properties. Hortelano said he explained that the Bank of Cebu has been considered insolvent because the bank assets are not anymore sufficient to cover its liabilities. Pag sinabi mong insolvent, it means it cannot repay the depositors because its liabilities are greater than its assets. The effect that a bank has on the economy if it becomes insolvent depends on whether the deposits are insured.
For depositors to be able to claim their money, he said that they have to fill up the clearance form provided by the PDIC and present 2 identification cards. The announcements on the posters at the various branches said that the BSP and PDIC have put the bank under receivership. BSP Central Visayas Regional Director Lorenzo Zafico said that when a bank is declared under receivership, it does not mean that it is bankrupt, but the current operation is just unhealthy to service liquidity transactions.
The closure of Bank of Cebu is the first bank-related crisis since the urban bank closure in the late 1990s, which was an aftermath of the 1997 regional economic crisis in Asia. When due to the crisis in Asia, this is the first bank to close. This is a Bank of Cebu. According to Zafico, the solid grounds for closing a bank and its branches include problems on liquidity, real and other properties owned and acquired, or ROPOA, and non-disposal of non-performing assets, NPAs, among others. So, what is liquidity problem in banks? The principal reason banks have a liquidity problem is that the amount of deposit is subject to constant and sometimes unpredictable change. At the peak of deposit expansion after the last war, investment represented less than a third of the earning asset of National Bank. So, how do you solve liquidity problems? Consider refinancing if necessary, reduce overhead, eliminate unproductive assets.
When under receivership, a bank will be under the full supervision of PDIC, while the bank management will be given opportunity to present their rehabilitation plans that will assure monetary soundness. If the bank management wants to reopen, there is still a possibility that the bank will reopen, but this will be dependent on how Bank of Cebu board members will be able to present a rehabilitation plan to bring back the bank's capacity to provide the immediate service to its depositors.
Peninsula Equity Realty Assets Incorporation owns 45% of Bank of Cebu, which has a paid-up capital of 37 million pesos. The Development Bank of the Philippines owns 15% of the stocks. A certain attorney Leandro Cedo owns 9%, 5% is owned by TSK Marketing, and 1.4% belongs to the Land Bank of the Philippines. The director of the BSP's Department of Private Development Banks, Fernando Cabala, was not available for comment yesterday as of press time. This is division of the BSP, which monitors the performance of the private development banks, does not maintain a business unit in Cebu.
Bank of Cebu was one of the largest banks based in Cebu province, and it started operations in 1961. In 1990, after several years of lending to trading and commercial businesses in Cebu City, the bank began shifting its lending portfolio in favor of small and medium enterprises involved in manufacturing, taking advantage of the city's industrialization. On August 31, 2006, the Bank of Cebu declared bankruptcy and was subsequently declared insolvent, the first time a bank in the Philippines failed since the failure of Urban Bank in 2000. The closure of Bank of Cebu was considered controversial, with bank owners requesting the Cebu City Court of Appeals for temporary restraining order to prevent the bank's closure. However, this was denied by the court and subsequently by the Court of Appeals. Despite the failure, 98% of the bank's depositors were able to retrieve the entirety of their deposits, as they were covered by the Philippine Deposit Insurance Corporation.
On September 2, 2006, depositor of the Bank of Cebu must have felt like they woke up on the wrong side of the bed, as the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or BSP closed all 7 branches of the bank after the insolvency. The members of BSP Monetary Board decided to close the bank after they found out that it was already incapable of paying its creditors. Being insolvency means it cannot repay its depositors because its liabilities are greater than its assets. So this is the effect that the bank has on the economy. If it's become insolvent depends on either the deposit or insured. In our country, without deposit insurance, an insolvency bank will not be able to repay people their deposit in full. In the event of the insolvency, depositor will have to get in line with other bank creditors to reclaim whatever money they called from the bank. However, this is not the end of the story. The failure of the Bank of Cebu could lead people to worry about financial position of other banks. Furthermore, the insolvency bank would have certainly owed money to other banks, as would its customer. This can lead to the domino effect. A bankruptcy at one bank can lead to a cascade of difficulties and bankruptcy crippling the economy.